I want you to just notice your breath. And the strange thing is that when you put your attention on something, it stimulates it molecularly. So when you put your attention on your little finger, the blood will move there. If you put your attention on your knee, the blood will move there. So there's some sort of connection with consciousness and where you're conscious toward somehow stimulates. Are you going to link that to, as you breathe, to when you know someone's looking at you and you turn around and they're looking at you? Or you can actually look at them and they'll turn around sometimes. Have you noticed that? So there's a thing, there's an energetic thing, there's a something. And in that knowing, we are connected. So we're not alone, we're not isolated, and we're connected. So we also influence from where we pay attention to, which is the real theme. That when we put attention on something, it is more than just our conscious awareness and seeing it or thinking about it that it's taking place. There's a lot of layers that's taking place. And when you practice staying in attention, that stimulation starts to cause manifest. The reason I want to say this is that there's a propensity because we have a tendency to have learned that the only thing that's real is what we can tangibly see or hear or touch. If you can't see it, can't touch it, can't hear it, but there's a tendency with the logical brain that if it's not apparent, if you can't see it, if it's not there, if it hasn't turned up, that we can dismiss it as it's not coming or it's not there, it doesn't exist. We invalidate it. And we call it being there as empirical, in other words, scientific, real in some minds. And if it's not empirical or scientific in the conscious way, then it is questionable as to whether it's valid or not. So it dismisses the invisible and it dismisses the realm of that which is even bigger than the three-dimensional physical. It's really silly, isn't it? So I'm saying this because when you put your attention on it, it stimulates it deeper and deeper than just its representation in front of you in the form world and physical. And therefore, the word faith, I believe, is biblically used in other spiritual pathways, is to have faith in it, intend it and have faith in it, work on it, work toward it, even if it's not evident. And with faith and work and focus and belief, it will appear. In a weird sort of way, it's not our business as to when you're bringing something through from the fifth dimension, from the invisible, from the imaginative, from the spiritual, from the divine realm, when you're intending and bringing it through, it's not our business when it comes. We can sort of put out there, it'll be nice if it turns up before Christmas because I got this planned. But as soon as you do that, you sort of risk it. It tests our faith because if it hasn't turned up, we go, oh, am I doing something wrong? Is this not working? What's wrong with me? So as you look at this, I want you just to notice when you put attention now, if you put attention on your heart with your consciousness and breathe into it, the stimulation of the heart will increase. The blood will increase. If you put your finger, look at your little finger on your left hand and just look at it and look at it and look at it, the stimulation of the molecules, the blood will start to stir. So that capacity is incredible. And it's part of who you are. And it's part of your amazingness that you are not just a physical being, you're inhabiting a physical being, a body. You're not a mind, you have a mind. You're not a name, you have a name. You're not a thought, you have thought. So in that sense, you are consciousness and you intend, you look, you pay attention, and we all feel it. So when you look at somebody with intention, they'll look around in a sense, they'll feel you looking, or you'll feel someone else looking. and you'll look and they'll quickly look away or they'll sort of smile or, all of that is connected. And as you look at that connectivity, would it be okay as we go into the breath today to understand that we are connectivity? We're electromagnetic. We're these divine beings with this connection. So as you consider anything that's ever been said to you, and if you were to start the bigger breath now, if you consider anything that's ever been said to you, suggested to you by the wisdom, by the brains, by the academia, suggesting that things only are able to be validated if they're measured empirically, which is a physical measurement system. It's a measurement in the tangible, measurable realm. And then the belief that we've been taught, some of us more than others, is that if it can't be measured empirically, it lacks validity. And that word now exists. So if you were to go into the big breath, and as you breathe in and out, breathing in and out, put your attention on your intention, that which is not visible yet, that which you wish for, dream for, intend. And know that at some level it exists. It exists as soon as you imagine it. It can't exist in the physical world without having been imagined in the past. So the relationship between the imagination and the physical world and the form world is real. And maybe we can measure it at another level of empiricism, which is the spiritual empiricism, which is faith, but also the evidences of the glimpse towards you when you look at somebody, the evidence of the consciousness and unconsciousness talking. Dreams do come true, but it's a skill to make a dream come true. It takes practice, and you can add the senses to it. You put it in the realm of the imagination where the imagination and the part of the unconscious doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. In other words, it can't see the difference between the imagined and the apparent physical reality. So as you imagine it, the senses come alive as if it's real in the three-dimensional world. So when we say the unconscious can't tell the difference between real and imagined, is there's no difference. They're just different frequencies of formation. And then word information is like geese flying in information. Information concentrated on comes into alignment. We put our attention as you breathe when you're ready on the solar plexus, the yellow chakra. And understand that words are very clever if you look at the ancient connection of words. And as you know, if you take the solar, which is the unconscious infinite mind, the unconscious mind, and the plexus, which is the ganglionic or the accumulated mass of neural pathways that gather where the solar plexus is, there's a conversation between the conscious and the unconscious. There's a relationship between the real and the not real yet in the unconscious conscious realms. Sometimes one is more information in the physical. It's come through in its recognizable form to everybody, like a chair. But there was a time when it didn't exist, and then it became into existence with mind. So as you imagine, so it is. And as you look at that, I want you to take everything that you wish for, everything that you dream for, everything that you desire that isn't in formation yet. Just see it as so. And as you vividly imagine, it becomes so in the fifth dimension, solar part of the plexus. And the conversation between the neural pathways gets stronger and more clear as you imagine it, as you use your sensory faculties and bring vision to it, and then take a pen perhaps, or a colored something, or a computer graphics program or something, and you start to draw it. Its first reality becomes into the second reality or into the physical world as soon as you draw it. You start to bring the imagery through to the physical form on the written document, paper, graphics. As you speak it descriptively, it reaches into the physical realm through the medium of sound. It's amazing, isn't it? As you think of that and then compare it to the images you've seen at different times of iron filings and sound and watch them go into pattern. And as you speak your formation intended, those iron filings or the molecular nature and the energy and the sound waves and the visual waves and the pen and the drawing and the graphics. And encourage it through alchemy, through into form. So do not dismiss the invisible as non-existent. Cause a space in your imagination through emptying your mind in meditation. Cause a space, and we could call it a canvas. And then take your pen in your mind. Maybe imagine a beautiful quill or a pen or a metaphysical writing implement. You can create anything in the imagination instantly. And then imagine causing form, designing it, creating it, putting together parts of it, speaking it with sound. Because when you think of words, they cannot be without breath and air. So you put the sound on air as you speak, and it travels. You can travel it for others to hear your idea. Be very aware that where you deliver your dream, your vision, that is to the ear that is capable of recognizing its beauty, that appreciates it. And then you take the word, and I'm using words today, the word appreciation, and you look at it in the metaphor of money, and you go, to appreciate money is to grow money. Well, to appreciate anything is to grow it. Put attention on it, appreciate it, grow it. So whisper your dream to appreciative ears, and they'll help you grow it. Share your idea with your drawing or your graphics or your design with appreciative ears, with skill, and they'll help you appreciate it together. Gather a team and gather appreciation with your team. Make sure your team in your craft, in your work, in your vision, in your dream, in your story are the right team that appreciate causing, growing, expanding, and influencing because it causes harmony and harmonious words coupled with harmonious visions, inspiring, or there, as you look at the solar plexus, in spirit. They're connected between the conscious and the unconscious. And as you hold into them with faith, the faith grows as pieces come through or things you recognize. Coincidence is where something else externally behaves in a way that is in agreement or turns up perfectly without having to be formally caused. It coincides, and we go, what a coincidence, because you're in the realm of attraction. And as you notice this, everything in your life, you've done this consciously or unconsciously to cause it. And you're doing it all the time. You're doing it every nanosecond as you breathe. You're causing, you're a magician, you're an alchemist. You're causing it all the time. And even though you can't always link, well, look at the coincidence. You can't really figure out how that happened. Sometimes you can see the link. But the matrix, if you go into it, is so complex, so incredibly woven that you can get lost in trying to analyze it. And you can't cause coincidences by efforting, although you can, but you can't. I want that to happen. I'm gonna, and people do that. All you do is know that your attention and your focus and your harmonious senses and the people you invite to appreciate and share it with you, it just starts to come, starts to happen. So as you notice that, allow yourself to let go any idea that you can't have your dreams come true. But you're in the realm of faith, as you can't see it yet. You have to believe in it. As Wayne Dyer always said, you'll see it when you believe it. You'll see it when you believe it. And the first place you'll see it is in the imagined space, what I call the first reality. So now conjure up something you want to cause, a circumstance, something that's important to you, and go into just envisage it, to vision it, just bring it in and look at it and go, that'd be cool. Maybe a journey, a trip, increase money flow, get a new guitar, get a new car, go on somewhere, an adventure, whatever. And and just appreciate into it. To appreciate it is to recognize it with exuberance, with joy, with spirit, with passion, compassion. And then as you do it, I want you to open it in the space, the empty space in your mind, and bring it in and put it in there in the form of the idea. It doesn't matter what the form is. It can be a thought, a word, an imagined, an idea, a thing, happiness, health, whatever it is. Imagine it in and just put whatever you've imagined in, even if it's not finished. Just put it in the space on the canvas and then appreciate it and look and go, wow, I'm beginning something or continuing it. And just understand what's going on. And as you envisage it now, your mind is stimulating your molecular nature, your atomic nature, your ingeniousness is in training, your breath's adjusting, the blood's moving to stimulate that part of your mind. So as you look at it, I want you to imagine it now as complete and yours. And imagine the day or the days or the moment where it's recognizable in the three-dimensional world. And allow yourself to enjoy, to bring joy to it with appreciation and go, wow, how cool is that? Wow, how cool is that? What difference will this make to my realm to have this turn up? How cool's that? Forget how right now. Forget how you're going to cause it. This is using a different magic. Just bring it in, stimulate it in, and check your senses. What does it taste like? What does it smell like? What does it sound like? Speak the word of the name of it. See others enjoying it, if that's possible with the thing you're thinking. And then imagine stepping through and picking it up or experiencing it or walking into it or somehow connecting with it. Feel it, touch it, experience it. If you're flying somewhere, hop on a plane, landing, taking off, packing a bag to go to the airport. And as you do that, you're using your genius in a multisensory way and using mind and your genius to bring the sensory realm into aliveness. Increase it, increase the sensation until you really feel, just feel the sense of it. This is real. This is already real in your imagination. It exists. And all you got to do now is spend a little bit of time on it each day. And then you can add action, movement to it. You can do something to influence it. You might have a conversation with an expert. You might go and buy a part of something, or you might go and see a show or some sort of exhibition about this technology or this thing or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If it's something that your funds can't afford yet, but it already exists in the physical world, and you go and see it in a window or look at it on the internet, go and see it. And you know this. It's been talked about with the law of attraction. But I want you to notice who you are. My job is always to remind you who you are. Just to connect you, reconnect you, because you go out into the world and you get interrupted. Your thought gets interrupted. Your focus, your time, you get distracted, you get affected. So I'm going to ask you to do something this time that you might already do, but just in case you don't, I'm going to compel you to be incredibly careful who you invite. No judgment of them, but be careful of who you invite to appreciate it with you. That's why I'm using the word appreciate it with you, because there's a tendency to talk about it, and sometimes you bring it up with someone who doesn't appreciate it, and they'll put it down, insult it, discard it, not pay much attention, be a little lackluster around it. And that's sort of hard because you feel, oh, okay. And you deflate a little, and we don't want you to deflate. So choose your players well. Choose your team well if you have a business. Choose your partners well. Choose well because you're inviting people in to appreciate you creating. And what you create, if it's in line with your values, if it flows with universal law, then it's something that everyone somehow will benefit from. One might look and go, someone who's got a new shiny machine, and you go, well, I'm not into cars, but you can appreciate it and go, wow, wow, that's beautiful. Or a marvelous custom designed, crafted outfit, beautiful clothing, cloth, jewelry, a well-cut diamond, the artisan. So look at and appreciate, even if it's not your thing, like a fine piece of music. You can appreciate the artist, the business mind, the startup business, the established business that's been there and stays there and still holds its self, even though I have my difficulties. So generational businesses that have been handed down and handed down and handed down. And you go, just look around now as you travel. But this time, be careful who you appreciate, to invite to appreciate with you. And spend time just looking around at things that are marvelous, beautifully crafted things, high quality. There's something beautiful about high quality. I'll say this in the masculine. You know, there's a reverence in Australia for the Williams boots, the history and the story and the horsemen and the craftsmanship and everything that went with it. Now they're made in China, but they cost more than they did when they were originally crafted. And you go, look, sometimes it gets distorted. But I remember having a pair of Williams boots that I'd had for many years. They were gnarly, like how a pair of boots can get. But when I took them to the shop back in the day, there was like this, the people working there all came to look at these boots. And I bought a new pair, but I said, can you just throw those out? And it was like, no, you can't throw those out. There was a reverence. So if you look at the reverence, you'll find there's a story. It's a human story. The pair of boots and old man Williams riding across the high country. I met a new client the other day, no names. They're very high profile. And they're a fourth generational family business, very big business in Australia. And I was speaking to the CEO who invited me to come and help him think about some stuff. And there was some difficulty with his sons, who are late 20s, early 30s, with a common thing in wealthy families is entitlement and some of the difficulties with taking their place around the table and, what goes with that. And I asked him as we talked and sipped good coffee together out of fine crafted china, just sipping a coffee and talking. And I asked him, if I asked your boys to tell the story you just told me, which went all the way back to his grandfather, great grandfather who came out from England, would the story be the same story? And he shook his head. He said, no, they don't know the story. We stopped telling it. It's forgotten. And I said, it's not forgotten. It's just not being told. But there's a part in everyone's heart when you start to hear a good story. about a journey. The people that traveled from England or Europe across America, a lot of them died. The ones that came to Australia and traveled, the frontiers, went through what they went through. There's a pride that comes in people. And then you play a song like an anthem, and people cry or they start to sing or they stand up. Something happens in us when we're connected to the story. But I'd like to say this today. The story begins with someone going on a journey with imagination. I'm going to start a business. I don't have any money. I met another, which I'm meeting one of the family, the grandchildren today to talk, another family. I think they're fifth generation. And she's a young lawyer now, and she's being invited in to sit around the table of the family. And I said, "What's important to you?" And she got a tear in her eye, literally. She said, "My grandma." So tell me about it. My grandmother wanted everyone to be okay in the family, and her and my grandfather, but she talked more of her grandmother. So they had $50 and no roof over their head. And they built this multi-hundred millions of dollars of enterprise. And once again, a couple of the young men, children, not children, but they're men, just want the money. Just give me another $1 million. I want to do this. I want to go off and do this. And there's no sort of, and she's looking, she said, "No, no, I want to come back in and help my grandmother bring the dream back to its heart." This is a young woman, 23 years of age. And when she talked about her grandma and being there as a little kid and being and staying with them and traveling through the business with them and watching them build it and watching it start and watching it, just the journey. So as you look at it, in you, there is a lineage, not just you. Some of you have generational families in terms of business or enterprise, but just you and your journey and who you are on the journey. And just notice your dreams are your story. Your dreams are your story. So this all started today within us that is more magical and is not just empirical. It's not just measurable. It's deep. And when you connect to it and remember it and connect everything you're about to it, there is a meaningfulness that goes beyond success or failure. Those things just wash away and whatever. You just get up and you go to work in your meaningfulness. Good day, good year, bad year. Doesn't matter. The meaningfulness is the wealth, the true wealth, and the character that's formed from it. And when you hear a good eulogy, you go to a funeral, you never hear them stand up and go, "Let's talk about all the things she or he had. Let's talk about material possessions. Let's talk about the rings and the money and the cars and the boats." They talk about the character, the funniness, the quirkiness, the mate, the best mate, the character. And the story. They say, "Would you like me to tell you a story about when she was a girl? Would you like me to tell you the story? I remember when. Look at what they caused. Look at the difference they made." And then someone says, "Is there anybody here that would like to say anything else?" And a stranger walks up the front that no one knows. And they say, "This person changed my life and many others." And they all look and go, "What do you mean? Who are you?" And they talk to them later over a scone and a cup of tea or a good beer. And they say, "I had no idea they were doing that." Wow, that's wealth. So as you reflect on yourself and your heart and your passion and your joy and accumulating to be successful somehow so that you feel a successful person in your experience of self, just remember your true wealth is your story, and you're telling it every day as you walk around, talk around. So choose your visions well, and remember you're walking a story. It's amazing. And on that note, just watch your breath and know that every second of your existence as you walk out into the day now is meaningful. But when you put attention on it and pay attention and recognize it and appreciate it, it just makes it shine.